Hey guys, I went to go see a artist at our local art center here in Parkersburg. His name is Gary Pettigrew. He used to be a professor at Ohio University, which is only about 45 minutes away from here, but he had a huge art show down here at the art center, and um, every single piece in there that was not a sculpture were his pieces, and while the sculptures were cool, I didn't feel like I could talk about them as well as I could about the pieces. So if I look down, I'm looking at my phone so I can look at the pictures and talk about them. I noticed that he used acrylics in his pieces, which made it a lot of his pieces were very bright and vibrant colors. He had a tendency to have very bright pieces, and he even did some self-portraits of himself, which I'll upload with this video. But he also had a tendency to paint very realistic places, so just like the street by bridge, or like a beach, or the calm before a storm, and places like that, or a house, and which I think it made it easier to relate to, and it gave us his point of view on what he was seeing, even though they were like local areas and places to see. His artwork was the natural places were very smooth and not too dramatic. They looked very natural, and but then some of his paintings were even so realistic that they could have been a picture. But then like his self-portraits were very, very dramatic, and you can see like the strokes of his paintbrush and how he decided to portray himself. Some of them had very different color contrasts. Some of his self-portraits were straight on, some of them were to the side. My mom pointed out that in one of his self-portraits, he did one kind of like a Van Gogh, but he hid the same ear that Van Gogh hid, which I thought was kind of interesting, but he also portrayed himself as a pirate in that one. His pictures weren't all the same size either. He had pieces that spanned an entire wall, and he had pieces that you had to get up right in front of it or you wouldn't be able to see it because it was really, really small. Which I liked because a lot of painters will paint similar sizes, and I thought that was really cool that he wasn't stuck in the same size because that was what he's comfortable with. He was clearly comfortable with all sizes of and he had some of them are framed and some of them weren't, which I thought was interesting. Some of them had, the borders that go around the pictures, and some of them didn't. So he didn't seem like he was, other than his medium, it didn't seem like he was stuck in the same type of art and the way he felt like he had to do it. Some of his artwork was very dramatic and had sharp lines, and some of them were more swirling and flowing and had like the natural curves. Like I said earlier, his artwork wasn't miniature and it wasn't like monumental, but he had the tendency to just span all sizes, which I really liked because I kept looking at all these pictures and I'm like, is this still the same artist? Because he felt comfortable spanning all those different sizes. I think my favorite pictures, which I'll post, there's one where they had done like they had done construction on a building and like torn parts of it down, and you can see where they had like the orange fence up and a bulldozer, and I thought that painting was very, very realistic, and it honestly could have been like a picture that was edited to make it look like a painting instead. So I was really amazed by his ability to transform these things that he sees in person and onto a piece of paper or a canvas. His amount of detail was truly incredible. I looked at one of his pictures, which was a place in Athens. It was like a undercross under the interstate, and he had the detail down to in this painting down to the missing paint and the cracks in the concrete and the potholes and the storm in the sky and how it was dark in one spot and light in the outsides, which I also thought was really cool. But I think the fact that he was able to not only paint just realistic things, but he was able to paint nature, he was able to paint houses, he was able to paint himself, shows that his true artistic ability. But I also think that he was it almost seemed like he was taking pictures of what he was doing and then would paint them onto a canvas, so he'd be painting from a picture. But it also showed, because he had himself portrayed as a pirate, that he had an imagination. He was able to add things and create to his piece, which I really liked. His colors sometimes are very neutral, sometimes they're kind of earthy and pale, but others, like I said, were like bright, like vibrant greens and blues and pinks. And so he never really had, nothing was ever really symmetrical in his pieces, because, like I said, he was painting what I believe from like pictures and things like that. And his focal points were never distorted. And you always knew what you were looking at, which I thought was really cool. So, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.